eat that junk.
How can you eat raw fish? Ugh.
Don't even wiggle a toe or I'll turn you into a lead soldier.
And I don't know who you are, mister, but there's been a big mistake here.
The only mistake you made was getting drunk when you should have kept running.
We are not going to allow any more big plays tonight, gentlemen. What are you looking at? You want to be out there in that field so bad?
Yes, sir.
Then show me something!
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on The Al Travis Show.
Love having this gal on the program. 2025 just gave up to 2026 and nothing changed, has it?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I thought, I was kind of hopeful. Maybe we'll ease into the year. It might be a quiet start, but no, New Year's Day hit and everything that we talk about on the show, politically here in Minnesota, everything hit the fan and we are right back where we were at the end of 2025.
I was, knowing you're coming on, and I was on vacation, but as of the first of the year, like 12,000 people signed up the first day for Minnesota Family Leave. I'm like, well, there's the story. I mean, they only want 130. We'll talk about it. But then you hear whispers that Walz wants a meeting yesterday at 11 o'clock in the morning. At 10, he meets with his staff and campaign folks. You're like, holy Hannah. And by 11 o'clock, he's not going to run for re-election. Obviously, that's all anyone talked about the last few days. That has to be the number one story, right?
Well, that, and then also quietly, a domain was registered for Klobuchar for governor, which I think is so comical that one, that wasn't already bought, and two, people think that other people won't notice that. If you're going to make a big political move, please buy your domain years and years and years in advance, just as a precautionary whatever. Because if you
they're like
right
$15 a year,
someone's going to see it. Someone's going to see it right away, and they sure did.
Now, do we know who, though? And this is someone bought Klobuchar for governor. I love that. I think that is funny. But what if it isn't Klobuchar or her people? The guy who got like PepsiCo.com or what, or Pepsi.com when these things first came out, made a mitt selling at the Pepsi. Do you think, she could get in? I go find the domain name. I put $15 down, and you expect them.
The timing of it is way too suspicious for it to be some random third party. Which, fun fact about that, I had a math teacher in high school that bought the NFL.com or .org domain, and he made a pretty penny selling that thing.
That's what I'm saying. So, conspiracy theory is that hopefully somebody got to it just before they did, and then they made 10 grand or something. That's my kind of hope. All right, let's talk about it. Governor Walz comes out. Did you happen to watch or did you read his speech on getting out or not?
I did not. I saw, bits and pieces of what he posted, the press release, whatever. He wants to focus on family. It sounds like this was a relief to his entire family. He wants to focus on, obviously, addressing fraud, the last part of this term.
See, this is the one I want to get at. He rips a little on Trump. He rips on all the Republicans. He rips on some young whippersnapper. I think that's actually a quote. Probably not a quote. Whippersnapper, the kid with his, camera. That's all. You knew that was coming. But what got me when I listened to it was him saying something on the order of, I'm paraphrasing here, that every moment that he is running for office would be moments he wouldn't be fighting for the people of Minnesota. And I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense, unless you have been awake for the last couple of years. 4 months ago, he's known about the fraud. They've been fighting the fraud. He told us they've been fighting the fraud for years. So he's known about it. And 4 months ago, he didn't think running for governor would take him away from the fraud hunt.
And 6 months ago, he didn't think running for vice president would take him away from...
See, so I'm listening going, well, boy, you figure something out here, my friend, that if you're not paying attention, things go... But my point is, will that work, Megan, in your mind? Because you got Klobuchar comes out, you have all the Democrats come out, you actually have Kamala Harris coming out and saying, wow, he's always been just for Minnesota. That's all he's cared about. They're playing the party line, which I get.
Yeah.
Will it stick? Because as he was saying the words, I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? You're running a day ago.
I think it'll stick, and I think there's some weird, dirty politics happening here. I mean, like I said, this domain for Klobuchar was registered. I think we're going to see her enter the race. Questionable
Sooner than later,
she'll be a tough or easy candidate to beat. Things go both ways. Polling isn't really, showing her similar to Walz, maybe 1 or 2 points behind. But I think, her leaving, that's midterm for a U.S. Senate seat. We already have the other U.S. Senate seat being vacated by Tina Smith. I think we could see a little political shuffle here where we have Klobuchar jumping in for governor. And then if she wins, the governor gets to appoint the remainder of this U.S. Senate seat. And I think we might see Walz jump in that way. There had to have been some sort of deal. He's not going to just go away without having some sort of next, political step planned.
Yeah.
And I think the U.S. Senate seat that she would vacate if she ran for governor is that next step for him.
Well, let me throw this out because I've been talking to some folks recently, including Kelly Fenton, Representative Fenton. The toxicity of Walz might be too high. What we're talking about is Senator Klobuchar wins the governorship. Her seat is open. She can appoint who she wants to fill it out. And you're saying, and I've been going with this, she appoints Walz. Walz now can continue his political ambitions, but if he doesn't get that appointment, he's done, right? You flamed out as vice president. You had to not run for your third seat after you said you'd run for his. I don't see him having any political future if he doesn't get that. So I was going with you on that. But the bigger play here that Fenton threw out, which I kind of like, I think is interesting. Klobuchar wins. She believes that Lieutenant Governor Flanagan can still win that seat, that Senate seat. So now the other one, her name's escaping me, running for that Senate seat.
Oh, Flanagan and Craig?
Craig. So one of those misses, right? They both can't win. One of them wins, and she appoints the other one to that seat. Now you have Flanagan and Craig and Klobuchar at the top of your tickets in Minnesota.
I'm still not convinced that Craig and Flanagan want to duke it out all the way to the end. So I think if Klobuchar gets in for governor, I think we could see some shuffling there too, where one of them, likely Craig, because Flanagan already has been lieutenant governor, hops onto the gubernatorial ticket as lieutenant governor. Or I just think that'll happen a lot earlier than.
This is going to be a big shuffle into what's going on. Let me ask you some other names in your thoughts quick. Congressman Dean Phillips, he says he doesn't want it. He kind of hurt his own side pretty hard when he went and said Biden is not fit to be president, right?
I don't think we'll see him. Nope.
How about Senate Majority Leader Erin Murphy, who kind of got the boot by Walz? Could she be the next one?
I'm hearing Lopez Franzen before I'm hearing Murphy.
Well, and Lopez Franzen, interesting enough, I do follow her on the Facebook thing. All of a sudden, she puts a new post out with a new pretty picture, here I am again. She wanted in, but as soon as she found out, well, that was for the Senate seat. She backed out early. She was in for only like a week and a half. Don't count her out, and she'd be very good. I like her as a person. The other one is Senator Nick Frentz, who's a friend of this program. Can we get two Mankatowians?
Well, and
back to back.
Another name too, and I'm going to throw you for a loop here. I'm hearing Senator Grant Hochschild as well, who's from the Iron Range area, and I'm hearing it because he apparently shattered some records for how much fundraising he did in 2025. So he raised an unprecedented just under $300,000 for his campaign for a state Senate seat. Yeah, in 2025 alone, I believe it was just under $200,000 that he raised. And I think if you're a top Democrat, you're seeing how Walz could fundraise really well, and you're seeing this state senator who can do the same on that level. Imagine how that would multiply on a statewide level.
Well, we're all bunching this on Klobuchar, right? She gets to decide. What's weird about it is Walz took forever to decide to get in. No one figured out what they wanted to do on the Democratic side till he decided. Now he's in. Now he's out, and it's Klobuchar's to decide, right? No one's going to get in if she gets in and clobbers them. So they're all going to keep their powder dry, if you pardon the expression. How long does she have? We're 10 months from an election. We're 29 days from the caucuses, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to think. Yeah, we're 300 days from the general election, and we have no declared DFL candidates right now. But I think, mark my words, next week on this program, we will be talking about Klobuchar officially entering the race. She will announce within a week.
I appreciate that. Okay, we got to go to break. We have lots more to talk about. We'll do that right after this with Megan's News in Review.
Hey, Brian. What do you call a lobbyist with a sense of humor?
Me?
Close. Momentum advocacy.
We help clients get real results at the Capitol with strategy, relationships, and just enough charm to make it fun.
From policy wins to media spots, we've got your back.
Nonprofits, businesses, coalitions, we've helped them all.
And we do it with nearly 90 years of combined experience.
Momentum advocacy.
As always, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more about our team at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got our Megan's News and Review, and I asked this question, Megan. I don't think it was, I'm pretty sure it wasn't top news story, but I want to get your opinion on it because you're a great political mind. There probably hasn't been as good a time for the Republican Party in years to have an opportunity to flip some statewide seats, right? Mm-hmm. Yet they seem to be their own worst enemy. I'm not sure if it's 14 or 15 Republicans now running for that governor's seat. What I mean by that, and they all might be great candidates individually, but as a 14 or 15, you go to the caucus and they do their voting. The person getting the Republican nod could get it, math-wise, I think, with 12% of the vote. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It could absolutely be somebody we never expected. Your thoughts on just how the Republican Party can throw out one or two, three good names, let them battle it out. Mm-hmm. And instead of, you know what I'm saying? Is this the Republicans their own demise?
Well, I think it's a symptom of, the caucus system, and we should be a primary state. We saw what happened in 2022, where there was kind of this uprising and swelling of the grassroots within this caucus system that really kind of pushed things in a way that politically for Republicans didn't end up faring very well. You had, governor or the Republican governor candidate really not perform well. And because of him being at the top of the ticket, it kind of filtered down into everything else too. And everyone else on the ticket didn't perform well. And so I think it really comes down to caucus strategy for these Republicans. But I know you mentioned earlier that Walz had mentioned when he said, I'm not running again, that, I need to focus on my job. This would take time away. I think that is kind of a subtle dig at Speaker DeMuth because he knows that she might be the front runner. I know Qualls was the straw poll winner, but I think he knows something the rest of us don't. And he was afraid to go head to head with her, which I think is what would have happened.
See, but that saying works for almost all of them. If Klobuchar gets it, she's going to be away from the Senate, not doing our business. The lieutenant governor is not helping with the fraud. She's running for the Senate. Craig in the House. This goes all the way down the line. I think what's interesting, and I throw it out, how little the lieutenant governor is getting any mud on her with fraud.
And
the
now
idea
other
that,
people are raising that concern now too. We've been talking about that on the show, but I'm hearing some mumblings from others that are also raising that point.
Yeah, because she's gotten away scot-free so far. She was going to be, if the governor had won vice president, she'd be governor now. So I presume she was sitting in the meetings, trying to get caught up. Where are we at on whatever? And she can't hide and say, I knew nothing about it, because then what did you do as lieutenant governor? You want the name recognition, but you weren't even in on the meetings. So it's a double-edged sword, where I think Craig ends up pulling that seat out, or that nomination. I think she does, because if it gets push come to shove and polling, Craig will run the ad that said, what did you know and when did you know it?
Well, and Craig also is an all-star performer when it comes to fundraising. I think in her last quarter report showed that she fundraised like $2.1 million.
Yes.
I think 94% of her donations were $100 or less. So kind of going to show that grassroots. I think that is kind of where Flanagan and Craig differ, is you have Flanagan painting Craig as this, big money, whatever. And now she's like, well, I have this grassroots support. But yeah, I don't know how salient the fraud issue is in the Senate race as opposed to the governor's race, but it's a federal problem too. I mean, we talked about Nick Shirley and posting all these videos. After all that, now you have HHS on the federal level pulling funding from the state, saying we want proof, we want photos, we want attendance numbers, which
names.
Apparently in 2024, Joe Biden passed this childcare rule that said the federal government or states can pay providers before verifying attendance and before certifying that care was delivered. That's now been repealed.
It isn't even set up to fail. It is set up to be stolen. But here's the difference, and I'm going to one last thing with our 2 minutes. I believe the Minnesota paid family leave, which had 12,000 people sign up the first day, supposed to have 130 all year long, going to blow past us. And everyone say it's ripe for fraud. It isn't. They set it up so loosey-goosey. It isn't fraud. Al can go visit Disneyland with his family. My 6 brothers and sisters all go because my mother's sick, and we all get paid to go.
Mm-hmm. It's little white lies. It's not this big, massive fraud scheme, but
because you're allowed to. I took care of Mom. I called her once a day, made sure she took her medicine. I get off work for that. Anyone else would just do it on the side. They set it up so loosey, nothing is illegal in it. It's not probably something you want to do if you're a morally nice guy, but no one will go to jail. This idea that during Feeding Our Futures and all the rest, people are going to go to jail because they lied. How many people ate lunches and there were no kids? This isn't a lie. You're just a scummy guy who took advantage of the system that was set up.
And it's penalizing
That's the beauty of
those small businesses that had great plans before. And I have a lot of friends who work for companies with less than 50 employees. And now they're having to sign these documents for the Minnesota program, whatever. And whatever leave they had before is now taken away because the company's like, well, if we're paying into this slush fund, well, then our employees should have access to it. Why would we, out of our own pockets, provide what we did before when we're all paying into this, big pool?
And it isn't about Al, but I only know because I'm a sole proprietor, right? And the sole proprietors of the world are absolutely SOL because I couldn't take 20 weeks off. If I took 20 weeks off, this show doesn't exist anymore, right? No one's going to just hit dead air for that. So I get to pay in. Lucky Al. Never going to use it. It's just a tax. Thank you, Al. Helping these others take my money. I love doing that. Makes me feel good as an American. Megan, love having you on the show. Is 2026 going to be our year? I mean, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about in the elections, but mark my words, I said it before, I'm going to say it right now so folks know. Next Tuesday we'll be back and we're going to be talking about Klobuchar entering the race for Minnesota governor. I'm calling it, so we'll be back.
Well, you only take the top news stories. Do you think that'll be it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you again next week, Megan. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week to talk about the top Minnesota news stories of the week on the Al Travis Show with Megan's News and Review.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different.